Speaking of new material and new albums, we've got a band in the studio that's just about to release. In fact, they're shipping. They're on the way. The albums are on the way. A new album coming out next week. This is Flylite Gemini. Welcome.
Hey, good morning.
Good
or
to
is it
have-
afternoon? No, it's morning. Good morning.
Good to have you guys on board. Joe, it's interesting. I've known you on and off for many years and all the different band projects you've been involved with. Why don't you give us a little history of your involvement with other bands and how Flylite Gemini came into being?
Well, I was playing music on the West Coast for a while and had to come back to the Midwest because my family needed me. And I met a singer named Michaela Kingslight in Kalamazoo. And Kalamazoo was much more like California than Indiana, so I moved up there. And we started a band called Flypaper, which at the end we were doing about 150 shows a year. And in the end of that band, I met Sam Rice, our drummer, and he endured the road with us for weeks at a time, multiple times. And then that band ended. Michaela had to move to be with her family in Washington State, and we really didn't know what was going to happen. We tried to keep the band going, and it just didn't work out. And so I started a solo project I was calling Flylite Gemini, and I would haul a kick drum around and stomp the floor on the floor, because I figured out that when you put the floor on the floor, people dance.
There you go.
And it was a little more interesting than just me strumming an acoustic guitar, and I'd use a looper. Well, anyways, that led to me recording an album, which Sam played drums on and sang harmonies. And what I thought maybe was going to be a musical epitaph for me became a musical rebirth. And then Zach joined the band. We started gigging out. About a year later, we became members of another band where we re-encountered Mr. Nate Carnes, who we had met previously because he was in the Turnups. Sam and Zach also having been in the Turnups, and I actually played bass for the Turnups at one gig, which is where I originally
a lot of
met
mixing and
Sam.
matching going on here.
And so we picked up Nate Carnes, formerly UV Hippo, formerly Turnups, on keys, and that's kind of where we're at. Like, that's the new sound of the new album is based heavily on the current configuration, which...
So when you sort of pull together a new band like this and you're picking from different elements of the musical stream, so to speak, what comes out? How do you describe what's happened with Flylite Gemini and the approach or the rock direction of this particular project?
I'm very motivated by love, like not just like romantic love, but like love as like kind of a ethereal force that just makes you feel connected to something other than yourself, whether it's a dog or a man or a woman or your 1981 GNL F100, something that makes you feel warm and connected. And so that, along with being out in the wildlands of the world, inspires songs. I mean, sometimes they come out backwards, which is the strangest things, but I bring them to the band, and I'm lucky enough to have these guys be supportive of the material I write, and everybody puts their parts in. And then Sam's also a songwriter, and his style is a little bit different than mine, and so we just have all these different types of songs, and it's really awesome for me because I have a little bit of musical ADD where I'm like, oh, let's play a little of this, play a little of that. So like from kind of country influenced folk, like old country, like that on the road country, like Waylon Jennings and stuff, through more modern rock like My Morning Jacket, or the Black Keys is kind of retro, I guess, but I think we're covering the whole spectrum in between Sam and I's songs, and we've had no arguments really. I think the biggest argument is when I'm over caffeinated and they're like, "Stop drinking coffee."
Yeah.
So
that can happen.
You always find a compromise.
yeah.
So tell me a little bit about the new album. It's going to be released next week. I know you're playing Speakeasy Lounge here in Grand Rapids. It's one of the release shows coming up. How did this come together? I'm assuming this took some time to sort of pull it all together and where it was recorded and.
Well, we had a great experience working with Ian Gorman at La Luna Recording and Sound in Kalamazoo during the first album, and Ian just gets me. Like on a song Sam was singing, for instance, I'm like, Ian, we have to make it sound like Sam's coming out of this portal of another dimension, and Ian's like, I can do that. Or another moment where he's just like, twisting knobs, and he turns around, he's like, is that too much? And I said, no, that's just right. So it's just really easy. His ideas, like, they feed us, and he's really supportive of what we do. So it was really easy to know where we were going to record the album. And we actually have material for a third and fourth album already. So like we're, we're really,
songs.
Yeah, we've got almost 4 hours of original material, and it's just like, it's kind of amazing. We never thought we would be in this band, at least, making this music at this point in life, and have so many songs to share with people. So it's just evolved really naturally and organically, and just with love and friendship.
So the name of the new album is called Bigger on the Inside, comes out next week. What are you going to perform this morning?
This is a song, this is like the second song. It's called Sagittarius and Scorpio, and it's about kind of being born on the cusp, if you know what astrology is. Like, it's in between two astrological signs, but it came from knowing someone who was part Sagittarian, part Scorpio, and not knowing how to approach them because they have very different personality types. And so I wrote this song and that song, smashed them together, and that's what we got.
All right, here we go for Local Spins on WYCE, Flylite, Gemini.
Loved you since the day I saw you and we talked about the bees. Well, still I wonder, was it just me? You were in between a new and a heavy heart. The time wasn't right then, I didn't know where to start. Sometimes life gets away from the roads we walked yesterday. Good friends get left behind. Oh, and love, it takes its own sweet time. Your smile makes the world melt away, and the warmth of your embrace is somewhere I would stay. I really want to know all the thoughts behind your eyes, really know your soul, even if it takes another life. Sometimes life gets away from the roads we walked yesterday. Good friends get left behind. Oh, and love, it takes its own sweet time. I don't mean no disrespect in the things that I project. I know love will find a way, regardless of the words I say. And so I wish happiness for you and the people in your life too. Well, love's a many splendid thing, and love is all we want to bring to you, ooh, to you, ooh, to you, ooh, to you, ooh. So no matter where you are, underneath the sky and stars, well, my soul, it feels so free in the moments between you and me. And so I wish happiness for you and the people in your life too. Well, love's a many splendid thing, and love is all we want to bring to you, ooh, to you, ooh, to you, ooh, to you, ooh.
Flylite Gemini here for Local Spins on WYCE. Joe Chamberlain, Sam Rice, Zach Potter in the studio here today. Nate Carnes on keyboards is also part of the band, and he'll be performing along with the rest of Flylite Gemini on Wednesday night at Speakeasy Lounge starting around 8 o'clock. It is the album release show for Flylite Gemini's new recording, which was recorded at La Luna Recording down in Kalamazoo. Tell me a little bit about, you say you have 3 or 4 albums worth of material coming out, so what do you see long term for Flylite Gemini? What's going to happen later this year and beyond?
Well, we're hoping to, well, we're not hoping. We're going to be sending the album out to some rock and blues labels in Europe and some of the smaller labels in the U.S. like Fat Possum Records, with the hope that they like what they hear and maybe they can plug us in to the network. We would love to be opening some bigger shows, theaters, places where people go to see music, so that we know, like, oh, people are coming to hear us create music. But yeah, I mean, we're planning to do something live, I think, maybe next year, so we can record some of the songs that have been previously recorded that we play. But we definitely aren't lacking of material. So, I mean, as long as we're all in Michigan, I think we're going to keep making music and keep making albums and hopefully just keep growing what we're doing. And I feel like it's something that appeals to a wide age range and a wide demographic, and we hope people will come out and see us. And
so in your mind's eye and your biggest dream, if you were going to open for someone else on a national tour, what bands would you want to open for?
I think it'd be really fun to open for Jim James and My Morning Jacket. Like,
yeah.
just something about that band I really dig. Or, I mean, of course, the Black Keys being huge. Like, I think people who dig them would dig what we're doing. And I mean, I don't think we could get much bigger than the shows they're doing right now.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. They're coming back to Grand Rapids in the fall. So, and curious, you're in a lot of other projects, and you guys, I think, probably are still in other projects. What other bands are you involved with, and how do you juggle that with what's happening with this band?
Well, right now, I mean, my main focus is this, but I also play in a band called The Change, and Sam is still currently in that band. At one point, everybody in Flylite Gemini was in The Change, and it actually became really easy.
Yeah, sort of flip over.
Well, because it's like, oh, The Change is booked, so we can't book Flylite Gemini. Oh, Flylite Gemini's booked, we can't book The Change.
Right.
But there's some transitioning and stuff happening now, you know, and but yeah, it's not too hard to juggle. We work with a fellow named Kevin Allen Lamb, 6'7" Kevin. This is a good sign, man. And he's been helping us with putting some shows together. So him helping both bands also kind of keeps the schedule balanced for the most part. And but yeah, that's all I'm doing. Sam's a hired gun here and there, doing some drums.
I've been playing with Kate Arcangelelli.
Oh,
She's
right.
just starting to get her solo project going, and I've been helping lay drums on that. And
Zach
gets a little busy.
Zach's still with the Turnips.
Yeah.
The Turnips, the activity kind of is.
Yeah, the Turnips do what they want to do when they do it. I think that's.
That's a good.
All right, let's hear some more from Flylite Gemini. What else do you have up your sleeves today?
Well, this is probably the most Hendrix influenced tune. Like, I mean, something about Jimi Hendrix has always been inspiring to me. But we call this one Better Days.
All right, here we go. Once again, Flylite Gemini and 88.1 FM WYCE.
I'll try not to blow you out.
Put your cards on the table so that I can see. Then I'll put my cards on the table, and we'll both know what it can be. We'll let the falling rain wash the pain away. Let it go and then take it day by day. Take some time to be that final way. One by one, the means of making better days. Yeah, on the better days. Woo, on the better days. Oh, on the better days. No more lies on misleading. Time to move past the past. Well, put your cards on the table if you want your good times to last. Then let the falling rain wash the pain away. Let it go
Flylite Gemini here for Local Spins on WYCE. Their new album is titled Bigger on the Inside. Gets released next week. And it's going to arrive. Shipment's arriving on Tuesday. We know it's going to happen. They'll be performing tonight, 8 p.m. Friday, Unruly Brewing in Muskegon with Stormy Cromer. 8 p.m. Wednesday as part of an album release show at Speakeasy Lounge in Grand Rapids for Local Spins Wednesdays. And then 9 p.m. Friday, July 19th at Old Dog Tavern in Kalamazoo. That's a week from tonight for another album release show for your hometown fans, so to speak. Does the travel situation ever get in the way? I mean, you guys all based in Kalamazoo, or are you guys spread out?
We're pretty spread out. All the way up 31, 131.
Yeah, we're joking. Well, I mean, at one point, Sam and Nate and Zach were all in Grand Rapids, and I was in Kalamazoo. And then now we're the 131 band. I'm in Kalamazoo. He's in Grand Rapids. He's kind of in Big Rapids. And then Nate just became the public defender of the city of Cadillac.
Did he really?
so, which he's busy defending the public today. Otherwise, he would be with us.
Wow. Well, that's an interesting sort of dual job, day job to sort of balance with a rock and roll band. I like that, though. That's going to be interesting. We'll have to talk to him next time he comes down here. We'll have to figure that one out. So these guys are going to be performing, as I said, next week. New album's coming out. Thanks so much for being here for Local Spins on WYC. I always ask bands that come into the studio, too, to pick another band that they love. And you guys sort of did a little sort of vote, apparently, for this one. So who'd you come up with?
We use runoff voting a lot to make decisions because it seems like the ideal way to have things move forward in any kind of voting situation. But yeah, Sam and I recently saw Earth Radio at Buttermilk Jamboree.
And was blown away. Those guys were amazing.
Like, here's this Bohemian woman and this mountain man. Let's have a band. But the band is like I mean, you wouldn't think the music that's coming out of them might be coming out of them if you judge a book by its cover, so to speak. But yeah, really just awesome music. And then I had asked Zach, and he sent one thing back, but then he was like, oh, and Earth Radio, too. And then I got a message from Nate, and Nate's like, I pick Earth Radio. And so, yeah.
What else can you do? And it's a good choice. It happens to be the Local Spins Emerging Artist of the Year, chosen earlier this year. So definitely they're on the cusp of some greatness. I can just feel it. So this is them. By the way, if people want to get more information about Flylite Gemini, where do they go?
Everything is Flylite Gemini, FLYLITE GEMINI. It's FlylightGemini.com. Our Instagram is Flylite Gemini, Facebook. You can actually stream the first album for free from our webpage. Also Spotify, but don't go to Spotify. Go to our webpage, please.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you put in Flylite Gemini, it's going to pull up us.
All right. That sounds great. Thanks, guys. Good luck next
John.
week. See you at Wednesday at Speakeasy Lounge. And this is Earth Radio and the track from their new album called Mother's Breath. This is called Go for Local Spins on WYCE.